Dimethyltriptamine seems to be the biggest buzzword in all of psychedelic social world these days. So basically what this video is going to be is me diving into my own personal profound experience with the substance, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Stay tuned. Alright, what is up guys? Jedi Mind Pricks here. Today I want to give you a run through of my profound experience with dimethyltryptamine. The quality of the substance I was getting. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say how, I'm not going to say anything of that nature that I shouldn't. I just will say that the acquisitional methods were as legit as they possibly could be, and the quality of the substance was very, very pure. The chemist involved actually said that the purity could be anywhere between 92 and 96% purity. With that purity, the substance is very fluffy, it's very white. Consistency like fluffy powdered sugar, but at the same time it's not. There's no real way of determining whether it's DMT or not. There are melting point tests and things like that. Again, this isn't an educational video. I just want to give you a little rundown here and there. If you look at Rick Strassman and those experiments, they were very pure. They were intravenously given to the patients, and it was very, very pure. I believe the purity rating has to be anywhere above 96%, and in order to be distributed intravenously. The experience was similar to that. Of course, straight to the blood, it's not going to give you quite the rush, quite the flow, quite the effect that does. But again, the purity of it made the effects as profound as they were. Also, and I'm going to stress this too, even though this isn't an educational video, you really want to weigh out your dose with pure stuff like that. Okay, a milligram scale, you really want to weigh out anything you're comfortable with, but with that purity, I recommend it 25 milligrams to about 50 milligrams. Somewhere in there. For me, what I accidentally took, or what I thought I accidentally took, because I really don't know, it was an accident. I just kind of loaded it in there. It was a little vaporizer style kind of pipe. That's the way you have to do it. You cannot combust it, or it will degrade the trip by at least 90%. You have to vaporize it. So I loaded it in there. I kind of peppered it in there like sugar. I was excited. It didn't seem like it was as much as it was, okay? But again, because of the purity and stuff like that, I was unprepared. And I got ready. I was by myself too, which, I don't usually recommend, but I'm a very individualistic person. I am very independent, and I really like to go deep into things by myself. I get very distracted when other people are around in a social environment, and that's not what DMT is about. I took the hit. And from my experiences, you're supposed to take the hit in one go, as much as you can possibly take of the amount you've distributed, and just roll. Essentially, about 8 seconds in, the most intense, extreme, just feeling came over my body. I had to let the breath out, quite literally speaking. It's not like I felt I was overdoing it. I physically had to, because about 2 seconds after that, everything started fracturing in front of my eyes. Everything started, how do I describe this? Turning into framework, like you see a bare building being built by construction workers and architects, and bare bones, and fracturing and breaking apart and reforming and turning into colors. And I was seeing round edges and edges that were round and colors I'd never seen before, and reverberating patterns right in front of my eyes. I'm all talking within 5 seconds this was all going on, and within that, after that 5 seconds after the 8 came in my world, I was knocked out immediately. But what was weird about that, I knew my eyes were shut, crazy, but I was immediately jettisoned out of my body. Okay, I'm talking like now, and I know which direction it felt that way, because I was laying on the, as I did though, I was even though I knew it was very, very quick, it felt like for an instant it slowed down, and I was trying to claw at my body. I was like, no, don't do it. It's innate fear behind it all. And so essentially after that, it almost felt like these layers were being stripped. The harder I tried to fight it, the harder it ripped these layers. It felt like they were just coming out of my face, layers. but they weren't layers of like, you know, my skin or my flesh or anything like, you know, physical like that. They were what felt like layers of ego, you know. And I'm not gonna die. I was jettisoned that way into a room. It was a golden, beautifully like jewel colored, but mostly gold, brilliant room. That was just changing and ever morphing. But it felt like I was in a room surrounding me. There's no feeling like I was out in space or anything like that. It felt like I was in this room where I was waiting, and then all of a sudden the room started shaping, and I could see this tunnel form in front of me that I couldn't see the end of. It just dipped like down like a waterfall like that to roll back to a fact that this whole time I was hearing a whirring in my ears, like a dial-up modem was going crazy in my head, and the pitch kept getting louder and louder as these formations in this golden jeweled tunnel were forming. And the more it formed, the louder it got, and as it got louder, the more I went down this tunnel that was just kind of going like this. And as I went into the tunnel, I could see it got bigger. And all of a sudden, the whirring got louder, and as it got louder, it turned into a chitter chatter. You know, I like to call it little creatures, but they were hiding behind the sides of the tunnel, and I could hear little sayings here and there, like buckle your fucking seatbelt, motherfucker, like get ready, son, and shit, kind of like that. You know, they didn't exactly say that, but it felt like it. It's so hard to, like I said, as that whirring got louder, it turned into the jittering, and all of a sudden, I got so freaked out and so like fearful in an instant, because of the colors and the shapes, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and was I okay? And I came back too. So I woke up, physically opened my eyes, and everything in my room was fucked up. I had a bow and arrow mounted on the wall, hanging, and it just broke into a million pieces and shattered, and it was like 100 different colors, and then came back together all of a sudden. It was just warbling there, and then I had a pair of sunglasses on the wall that were just shooting rainbows out of both lenses. And I go to look at my phone, you know, and I always think about it going back. I looked at my phone to try to pull back to reality, or to my reality a little bit, and essentially look at the phone as like, oh, pull me back, like I don't want to be there anymore, I want to be back here, you know. So I try to look at my phone, look at the time, you know. I looked at the time. Okay, at this point, it wasn't even 2 minutes. 2 minutes, okay? Keep that in mind. 2 minutes had gone by so far with all that happening. Okay, I shit you not. All the letters, all the numbers, all like everything on my phone but the picture on the background changed into ancient symbols. Okay, like it looked like, you know, like actual physical symbols that like Sanskrit or like something like that, but they just morphed and like went like that on my screen and my phone, and changed right in front of my fucking eyes. And I just like kind of looked at my phone. I laughed a little bit in my head. I'm like, I can't fight this. Like something kept telling me at that point that I can't or shouldn't fight this. And I just kind of laughed and threw my phone down, and I laid back on the couch, and I just like let go. This is the crazy part. So when I let go, essentially when I let go, that's what took me. That's what took me through. And when I went through to the other side, instead of there being the whirring and the screaming, wiry, weird noise, I was pushed through to, it was like almost a serene stillness. It was so quiet and so everything was pristine. And I had essentially woke up to this in there, wherever the fuck there is. I was somewhere else. I was physically, I felt it. I couldn't see me or my hands or my body, but I was there. And I couldn't talk, but everything was in my head. Feelings, what I was thinking, everything that was physical manifested in my head. So if I thought I was walking, it was in my head. I couldn't see my feet moving. It was so odd. But where I ended up was this dome-shaped facility that was pristine. Not a smudge. The glass looked so clear that it looked like it wasn't there. So it was a massive facility. I was within the facility. Within the facility was a massive dome. So if that makes any sense. Okay, bear with me. And it was like this perfect steel structure and massive glass dome that harbored, okay, get this, plants inside. beautiful bushes and plants and trees and grass, and the whole, literally it looked like a preservation, or like an animal preservation or something like that. No animals, not one, not a bug, not nothing, just plants. Okay, and then a bright blue sun in the center of that dome, and the whole thing was encased in that pristine glass. I was on a conveyor belt, okay, around this glass dome, almost as if I was a tourist on a tour guide, okay, and so shortly after that, I'm looking at one of the panes of glass through it, looking at the plants and just in awe in my head, like, what the fuck, you know, and all of a sudden, in front of the glass appeared this lady, okay, and I'm not talking like it was a lady that looked like me or you, not that I'm a lady, shit, anyway. She was a geometrical framework, like I had been talking about earlier. She was, and the framework around her was like moving faster than she was, but she was the perfect figure of a naked woman. And it sounds ridiculous, but okay, so naked woman framework. Her framework though is moving slower and like flowing, and she's playful, and she's like laying in the air, and I see her, and she's talking to me. Okay, so essentially, but what she says to me was, don't take life so seriously. And that was the first thing she fucking said, okay? And to this day, it still gives me chills to think about that. Like, don't take life so seriously. First thing she said. Second thing she started saying to me, and I couldn't respond. It felt like I was responding, but I wasn't. Okay, it was just on this conveyor belt, and we were both moving around it. And she's speaking to me. She has no real eyes or anything, but I know it's her, a woman, and she's talking to me, and she says, I'm here, I caretake this dome essentially with the plants, so essentially she was like a horticulturist, like cultivating all these plants in this massive dome. It felt like I was on a planet that just did that, literally focused on plant life, and it was so weird. And she said, again, don't take life so seriously, and she's just playing around, and she's naked, and she's being all flirty, and that's all she said. That's all she said. Okay. After that happened, I was just back. I opened my eyes. I kind of slowly came back though. Just kind of slowly faded back in. I opened my eyes. Everything was still fucked up. Everything was still extremely fucked up. I look at a box of rubber gloves I had, and they had the I'm not sure how to fucking say it. You guys can let me know. A Madoscus staff or whatever with the snake and the angel wings and stuff on it, and it was on a rubber glove box, and I was looking at that fucking box, and I was still laying down, mind you, and I'm looking at that box, and the wings on the staff are flapping, and it's like the mother staff, and it's giving birth to all these little flying ones that are just flying off of it and disappearing about 12 inches. I look at my phone eventually, and I was hoping it wasn't all ancient symbols still, because I really wanted to look at the time. But I look at the time, everything's normal. That whole event essentially took about 9 minutes. And I've done things in the past too. Nothing that profound, especially being it being accidental. It makes it even more so because you're not ready for it, which I think is better. If the mind's a very powerful thing, okay, and when you over prepare for something, it's like you're expecting something, but when you're not ready for it, there are no expectations. So when you do finally go there, you're able to have an open experience. So a lot of great things are accidental, and that's essentially my profound experience right there. And I still reflect on that experience to this day. Right now it was over 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago that happened, and I still remember it like it just happened, and I will never forget. Will I experiment with it more in the future? Probably, but with those type of experiences, you really don't feel the need to do it for a very long time. It's kind of like you need some time, to get more cobwebs to be washed off, I guess. But yeah, anyways, guys, that is my experience. That is my profound experience with DMT, and so I hope you guys enjoyed listening. I hope you guys enjoyed talking with me a little bit and reminiscing about that. Yeah, so this is my first video. It's kind of the takeoff to many. I want to do a lot more psychedelics. I do game on Twitch and stuff like that. But hey, if you like this video, please subscribe. Send one of those like buttons. Anyways, comment below if you have any questions or anything. So you guys have a kick-ass day, and I will see you next video. Jedi Mind Prick, out.